I've been getting ready. I'm going to make one of my annual Christmas treats today. I've been making them for many, many years. We're going to get to go out to see the Pressleys for Christmas, and honestly, they wouldn't let me in the door unless I brought them with me. That's not true. They'd still love me, but they are crazy about my buttermilk pralines. I've been making them for many, many years, really since Katie and Corey were just little toddlers. In those days when they were real small, of course when they were babies, Granny would get my groceries for me. It's just so hard to take two infants with you, you know. Or when they got a little bit bigger, her and Pap would keep them and I would go get my groceries, or Granny would keep them if Pap wasn't there. And, you know, but sometimes I wanted to take them with me. The problem was with taking them with you was there's two of them. So if I put them in the buggy when they got big enough to kind of sit up by themselves inside the buggy, then I didn't have anywhere to put my groceries. And I like to just go to the grocery store once a week. I don't even like to go once a week, but I don't like to go multiple times, in other words. So I get a lot when I would go. In those days, I may have even just went every 2 weeks. Anyway, all that to say, someone told me in those days, said there's a store, Bilo's. You're familiar probably with Bilo's. The one that was in Murphy's no longer there, but in those days, Bilo was there. And they said, you really ought to shop there because they've got this really neat little buggy that's got 2 little seats on the back of it. And it's even got the buckles. You can buckle them in. And that way, there's still room to put your groceries. And I said, okay, well, I'll check that out. So I did. And it just worked perfectly. So from then on, every week when I'd go to get groceries, Corey and Katie went with me, and I would put them in the little thing and buy Lowe's. And sometimes, rarely ever, we'd have to wait. There was only one buggy for another mother to finish, but most of the time it was open, and I was able to use it. Anyway, in those days, every Christmas, and they probably still do it if you live near a Bilo store, they would put out this almost like a magazine, and it had coupons and stuff in it and stuff about Bilo, but it also had recipes in it. So I was flipping through it one year and I saw the buttermilk pralines. I love anything with kind of that rich brown sugar or caramelized caramel sugar, any of that. That's just kind of my favorite type of sweetness if you like sweets. So I thought, I'm going to try that and see how good they are, see if it works out. And I did, and we just loved it. And then probably, I don't know if it was that year, maybe by the next year, I took them to the Pressley family Christmas, and everyone there loved them, and it just become a thing. Every year they'd ask me if I brought them, and so of course I continue to make them all these years later. We love them, but they really do love them. And I try to make a double batch, and then if there's any left, they can divide them up between themselves and take them home and enjoy them a little bit longer. We did put the recipe in mine and Jim's cookbook, so it's in the Celebrating Southern Appalachian Food. And if you've made pralines before, it's a pretty common recipe. It's not like a complicated one or anything like that. It's pretty standard, other than using the buttermilk. So I think that makes it kind of unique and gives it an undertone of that tanginess. So I'm going to read you the recipe here, and then we'll go over to the stove and make it. But it's buttermilk pralines, and I even put in the cookbook, it wouldn't be Christmas at the Pressley house without these rich pralines. They're perfect for the holiday season, and they are. So I'm going to double my recipe, but you need 2 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of buttermilk, 3/4 cup butter, 2 cups pecan halves or pieces. I've used both over the years and they both work. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'll go ahead and read the directions, even though we'll go over to the stove. Combine sugar, baking soda, salt, and buttermilk in a large saucepan and cook over high heat, stirring constantly until the mixture comes to a boil. Continue boiling and stirring until mixture begins to thicken and become slightly creamy, 210 degrees on a candy thermometer. Add butter and pecans and continue boiling over medium-high heat until the candy thermometer reaches 234 degrees, the soft ball stage. Remove pan from heat and add vanilla. Allow mixture to cool about 2 minutes, and then you beat the mixture until it begins to lose its gloss and becomes thick and creamy. Quickly drop by spoonfuls in 2-inch rounds on wax paper or foil to cool. If mixture becomes too hard, immerse the bottom of the pan in hot water for several minutes and resume dropping candy. The hardest part of this recipe is knowing when to start dropping the pralines onto the paper. I've dropped too soon and ended up scraping it all up to cook a little more. The best advice I can offer, other than trial and error, is to pay close attention to the mixture. Honestly, though, these pralines are so good that even if I had to scrape the mixture back into the pan and cook a little longer every time I made them, it would be worthwhile. The pralines are creamy, melt in your mouth goodness, and it's true. Once you make them a couple of times, though, you really can, I mean, even the first time, you're like, well, it's glossy, until suddenly it's not. That glossiness is the real key. It really does disappear, and then you know it's time to start dropping them out. This recipe I have on the Blind Pig and the Acorn, so I will link to that, and you could go over there and not worry about writing it down. But it is really kind of a decadent candy, really tasty. That creaminess just melts in your mouth, goes perfectly with the pecans, and it is just perfect for the Christmas season, although I wouldn't turn them down any time of the year. So we'll go over to the stove and make them. We're going to put our sugar. It really does help to have a deep pot, even if you wasn't doing the 2 recipes or doubling it like I am, because once you start stirring it, especially as it gets hotter and hotter, sometimes those little pieces, you know, the little creaminess will bubble up on you, so that really helps to keep you from getting burned. We'll add our baking soda, a little bit of it stuck there, and our buttermilk. I'm already splashing it out. It's typical of me. The baking soda and the buttermilk kind of react together and make it real bubbly, real frothy, real quickly. When you make candy like this, you can walk away after you make it a couple of times. You have the feel for it, but you can't walk away for very long, or it has a tendency, because it gets so hot, to scorch. There's a little speck of something I'm going to get out. I use unrefined sugar, and sometimes it has little specks in it, and that's probably where that come from. Probably wouldn't hurt you, but I'll go ahead and get it out. You can see it's getting really frothy now. Back then, when I first started making it, Miss Cindy had got me a candy thermometer, and I used it every year. I used it for years and years and years, and then it quit working. So she bought me another one, and I used it, and then it quit working. And one year I was trying to do the pralines, and I only do them once a year, so it's like I was thinking, have I forgot? Did it take this long? I ended up ruining them because the thermometer wasn't working, is what the problem was. But for the past couple of years, I've used a digital one. Those that I were using was the old-timey ones that you attach to the side of your pan or your pot and just left it. And the digital one is much, much easier, in my opinion. But you can do your research and see which one you prefer. Although the one I have, the digital one, is not really made for candy, and it's got the probe on it is pretty short, so I have to wear gloves when I'm seeing how hot it is if I don't want to get my fingers burned a little bit, splashed up on. So as you cook this part, you can see it's just getting more frothy and kind of doubling in size, kind of growing. That will go away, though. It will, once you put the other stuff in, it will shrink back. You can see the color is beginning to change too. It's turned from that white, kind of turning to a more tan color, and continuing to increase in size too. Let's see what temperature we're at right now. And we may be close to being there, ready to put in the butter and the pecans. Yeah, not yet. It's going back down on me, so let's cook it a little bit longer. Once it starts bubbling up, I have to put my gloves on. That hot candy is so hot. It really burns your skin. I think we're going to be there. And we are. Pecans. And our butter. Now we got to let it cook until it reaches the 234 stage. As the butter melts in there, you can see the kind of the foaminess is decreasing and it's shrinking back down. And you can see all the foam's about gone, and you can see all the pecans in there now. I'm going to let that continue to cook a little bit, and I'm going to spread me out some parchment paper so I'll have a place once we get to that point that we're ready. I'm not going to go too far away from it though. The next time it decreases, we'll be about there. Starting to smell wonderful. Smell like caramely smell. Just for curiosity and because my hand's getting tired. Let's see what it says now. I'll be doing good if I don't drop it in there. If I can hold on to it. I'm afraid to. Let's just try it this way. Maybe I won't get burned. Okay, it's kind of stuck on 219, which is what I thought. See if I can go back to stirring it without the glove, if the popping's about done. No, still popping. Getting closer. Kind of getting creamy and a dark color, getting darker. Okay, let me see what temperature we're at. Not quite yet. Okay, the texture's kind of changed again, so let's see what we're at now. Almost. Let's see if I can do without the glove. Last little bit seems like it takes a while, and then all of a sudden there it is. Okay, it's been a minute or so. Let's try one more time. I think we're about there. We are. We're past there. Okay, so we're going to turn it off and get it off the heat. I'm going to add the vanilla, which will, always makes it go a little crazy. I'm going to let it cool for about 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. 2 minutes is what the recipe says. And then we'll start beating it. And get it ready to start dropping out. So it's been 2 minutes. I'm trying to give you a good look at the gloss. You can see that. I hope it shows up on the camera. It's really glossy, really shiny. And that's the part when that part kind of goes away is how you know it's time to start laying them out, spooning them out. And it really does go away. It's just a tricky little thing. But after you make them a few times, you'll get the hang of it. And the worst that could happen is that you put them out too soon, or if you wait too long, it kind of seizes up on you. But again, like the recipe said, you can kind of warm it gently back and get it back in a spreadable state, or not spreadable, spoonable. And stirring it's just letting it, helping it cool off. I've never tried it, but I guess wonder if you could put it back, you know, pour it out into another pot, and that would, this pot's hot, if that would help it, but I just do it this way. I don't know if that would work or not. Someone that knows more about candy than I do, pray tell us. So I don't know if it shows up on the camera or not, but it's subtly beginning to change color. Not near as shiny as it was. I think we're almost ready actually to start putting it out. I think we're there. I hope we're there. I hate to have to scrape it up, but I think we are. Let's move over to where I have the parchment paper laid out. A little bit more stirring after I got it over here in the, where I can actually see in the light. Maybe I'll wait just a minute more. And when it comes to dropping them out, of course, you can make them whatever size you want. I usually just use two big spoons, as we call them, from my silverware set. So, but you could do it. You could use if you wanted them big, you could use a cookie scoop. Well, they make little cookie scoops too. You could do that. I guess along with losing the gloss, they also take on kind of a grainy look to them. I try to make mine the day before, so we're not actually going till tomorrow, and that way they have time overnight to sit up, and which usually doesn't take that long, but just in case, and get kind of solid, and that way when I pack them up to take them, I don't have to worry about them falling apart. One time when Katie and Corey was pretty little, they would, one year they would tell me, I mean, they were probably, you know, 9 or 10 or something like that, and they were, you know, getting close to being Christmas time, and thinking about all the goodies, and they kept asking me if I would make the brown things. Would I just make the brown things, please? And I don't know why I didn't think about pralines, but I just never could understand what they were trying to tell me. I was just being dense, I guess. But then when I finally made them, they were like, this is what we were meant. This is the brown things. I'm going to run out of room. I'm going to have to put me some more paper out somewhere else. Back over on the counter. So Matt come home just in time. They're all cooled and ready to eat. You want to taste one?
Funny how that happens.
Yeah, you knew I was doing this, didn't you? Let's see. You want a half one? Or you want one all by yourself?
Is half of one of all these is all I get?
No, you can have all you want. Go ahead. Get whatever you want.
I'll get a small one since it's going away.
I'll get a small one too. So you can see they just kind of, they're not crunchy. They're good, ain't they? They're more creamy than crunchy. Like if you think about, what, peanut brittle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The crunchy part's the pecan. But the rest of it just melts in your mouth.
Mighty good.
Presleys love them, don't they?
They do.
I said they wouldn't let me in the house if I didn't have them.
I may not let you take them out.
I may have to make you some to keep here.
Golly.
They are really good. If you try them, we hope you enjoy them as much as we do and as much as the Presleys do. And we're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia. With olive wine.
Olive's wanting a praline. You can't have one. You doggies don't eat that stuff. Oh, what's in the pralines? Is there butter in them?
There's lots of butter. I'm sorry.
Gotcha, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, you can't help it. You know what I mean? It's not like it's your fault. That's just the recipe, and this is just my thing. So I
That's
got
why they melt in your mouth.
the butter. Yeah, that's right.
My goodness, it was good.
You remember when you was little and you said, Mama, are you going to make the brown
The brown
things?
things, yep. One day I wanted me to let you know that Sam was making a nut cake.
Mm.
Okay,
He might be making the fudge, too. Probably is.
that would be good.
Mm.
Too bad for you, dog.
No pralines for you.
Uncle Sam makes the fudge. Uncle Charles used to make the best peanut butter fudge.
Yep.
Sweet Uncle Charles.
The nut cake, is that Papa James's recipe?
I think it is. Seems like
I don't
he told me
know. I
that.
just know that he liked that awful well. I don't know whose recipe it
We need
is.
to get Uncle Sam to make it for us and show us how.
I need to get
That'd
the
be cool.
recipe so we can
I have the
continue it
recipe.
on.
I have it.
Oh,
Well,
I've never made it,
what
but I
have you
have
been
it.
doing with it?
I've never made it. Nana wrote it
Hiding
down
it?
for me years ago.
keeping
your
it
daddy
secret.
gave it to me. It takes a lot of nuts of different kinds and a lot of different. It's an in-depth process. Oh, it's good.
I don't know if I ever had it.
It's more of a candy, if you ask me, but it's really, really
A
good.
cake?
Yeah, than a
Is
cake.
it like actually in a cake form or no?
When I had it, it was all the times. It's like out of the refrigerator at Papa's.
Oh, okay. I see.
It's more of a fondant, don't you think so?
Hey, what?
Fondant.
I don't know what that is.
Fondue?
I'm
No,
back in
fondant.
the sticks here. I don't know those big words.
It's like candy.
What's fondue?
Fondue's like what you dip stuff
Okay.
in. Yeah.
Bringing big words on
Let me
me.
tell
I'm
y'all this
ignorant.
really funny story about, Vicky, how funny she is. We were in about the 7th grade or something, 8th grade. I don't know how old we were, me and Tracy, and she was going to let Tracy have her first boy-girl party, It was,
Oh,
it was
exciting.
a birthday party. And they lived over there on Poorhouse Mountain, in that, after you go across the top, the 2 big rock houses, if you, just as you're going out through there, if you look up, there's a white house, if it's still there. They lived there. So Tracy was already nervous about it, but anyway, so we had the party and it was fun. But then 2 things that embarrassed Tracy and thought she's just like, how Vicky would get so excited about everything. One is that she had fondue. So we had these little things we stuck in there. None of us had ever seen fondue. We didn't know what that was. And then the other thing was, you got another one, was she was wanting to, it was a party, so we had like a record player or whatever it was in those days, and she wanted, nobody wouldn't dance, so then she made everybody take their shoes off, and she put them in a big pile, and then you had to go pick a shoe out, and then that's who you had to dance with. That was Vicky's idea.
That seems like something Vicky would do. She's funny like that.
It was fun though. It was a fun party.
It was a good, break the ice kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I can just imagine, all these
All these
awkward
little
teenagers,
real
"Don't touch
young,
my
like middle
shoes."
school,
Yeah.
having to take your shoes off.
I didn't wear
How
my
old
best
were you?
socks. These have holes
I
in them.
think we was in about 7th or 8th grade. I can't remember, 8th grade probably.
What are you smiling about?
This thing's funny. The parties I went to required a closet and a bottle.
Uh-oh, spin the bottle. That was a
Play
big
that
thing
game?
for people to
No, I was at parties where it's played, but I was too afraid I'd have to kiss somebody I didn't like.
do. Or someone you didn't even know. Gross.
Well, I mean,
Nasty.
at my parties you knew everybody, but yeah, gross. That was it.
Yeah, gross.
yeah.
Listen, the parties I went to were all about laser tag, pizza, and games, and prizes, and tickets, and tokens. It was all about that.
And it was
That
like
was-
at Chuck E. Cheese or something.
That was the games that we
Downtown
were
pizza.
If it wasn't that, then it was playing dolls at somebody's house and homemade birthday cake. I mean, but it was mostly, that was the time when it was like Fun World, Fun Factory, and that was all the rage to have a pizza party at a place like that. And we had one.
You did one
And
time.
we loved it.
Yeah, one time.
We had a
Pictures
great
to prove it, right?
Uh-huh.
All right.